In the aftermath of the most violent explosion in cosmic history, science tells us that space is a pristine vacuum. The inside of an atom, a pristine vacuum. How could that have happened? The ash was mixed into everything. How did it get removed? Instead, let's consider that dark matter, more than 85% of the universe, is cosmic ash. Tiny particles, 1,000 times smaller than an atom, varying in size. Smaller dark particles in orbit around larger ones. Dark orbital systems. It's dark material fluid. A spinning debris field filling all spaces, from inside atoms to the visible universe. Organized by fluid flow, conserving energy and angular momentum. I'm not a physicist, but have studied science for decades. My understanding comes from fluid dynamics. When a larger object moves through a fluid of smaller particles, it creates a bow wave, a pressure wake. But after the Big Bang, particles will be spinning, causing a pressure bubble to form inside the bow wave. Higher pressure here, lower pressure here. And after the Big Bang, a larger particle's gravity or charge traps smaller particles in orbit around it. And in the chaos of this explosion, smaller orbital systems begin orbiting larger ones. With dark orbital systems, you'll find tiny flywheels inside every atom between the boundaries of all things. What's your intuitive understanding of how electrons form stable orbits inside of atoms? The spinning electron and spinning proton each have a pressure bubble of counterspinning dark orbital systems. The layer in between spins to counter that. And in fact, each layer spins the opposite way, creating an accelerated stream, a consistent flow preventing orbital decay. It's like a spinning wheel lined with spinning bumpers racing around a track with opposite spinning ones. And the moon orbits the Earth with similar dynamics, but the moon is not spinning. The Earth has at least two layers of R and L spinning orbital systems in its core that create the magnetic field. Its boundary is known as the magnetosphere, the fluid foam boundary of these dark fluid currents. Solar wind, dark fluid flow from the sun compresses it into one side and elongates it on the other side, just as is observed. The moon itself rotates through this racetrack of R and L spinners inside. Since it's not spinning, there's less acceleration and more orbital decay. Importantly, note how Earth's line of sight crosses an even number of R and L boundaries. Any effects of these layers would likely cancel. If Earth were moving through a fluid, early scientists assumed it would be easy to detect. Here's why they missed it. The sun creates its own dark fluid pressure environment. It's got its own pressure bubble with counterspinning dark orbital systems. The spinning Earth-Moon system also has a pressure bubble, trapping an opposite spinning layer of dark orbital systems. This sits in an accelerated racetrack, just like the electron. So early experiments did not account for the stable window to the universe surrounding the orbit or the laminar fluid flow. They attributed consistent measurements as proof space is a vacuum. But instead, Earth is like a passenger inside a smoothly moving train, unable to see the effects from the motion. Einstein found the math that predicted what we observe, but never believed in warped reality. He kept searching for a more elegant solution. And here it is, fluid mechanics operating in an invisible medium. Gravity does not warp space-time. Instead, bow shock of particles or wave passing through pressure gradients curves them just like fluid dynamics. Nuclear fission fusion involves dark matter crust reorganization around nuclei, dark matter buckyballs rapidly decompressing. Energy is released in the form of dark material debris traveling at the same speed in the same medium. I know it's a shock getting in, but once you see it, the universe becomes home again. And there are more experimental traps. Dark matter fluid exists inside atoms, affecting everything we measure. An atomic clock will adjust its time slightly if the pressure of the fluid is changed by moving it into space. Observation inevitably creates turbulence, bugs in the experimental evidence. In this famous experiment, the interference pattern on this screen disappears when we place a detector at the slits. But there's a simple explanation, then wave-particle duality and the observer effect. Without a detector, the dark fluid environment remains smooth and laminar. The particle travels through one slit, but its bow and stern waves propagate through both slits in the undisturbed medium. These waves recombine. The particle slips between its bow and stern waves again, creating the interference pattern. But when the detector is present, the electromagnetic field creates turbulence in the dark fluid medium. This choppy environment disrupts the smooth wave propagation, destroying the coherent interference pattern. The particle still goes through one slit, but the fluid chaos prevents clean wave recombination. Dark material fluid also provides an intuitive explanation for how magnets work. Aligned dark orbital systems inside each magnet. Opposite spinning dark orbital systems create figure-8 currents accelerating each other, pulling together just like opposite spinning binary stars. And same spinning systems repel, just like two fire hoses pointed at each other, just like same spinning binary stars. A hammer blow disrupts the organized dark orbital systems. A stronger magnetic field realigns it. Atomic bonds work the same way. Here's an oxygen atom. Notice how counterspinning eddies form in the gaps between electron orbitals. The stronger spinning system respins the adjacent ones, just like magnets. These eddies pull in two hydrogen atoms simultaneously. Electron boundaries deform. The stronger systems in the oxygen cause the hydrogen atom to reverse their spin. The bonds lock in place to form water H2O. And here's a mind-blowing implication. This also explains how cells work. The cell's boundary layer has an orbital signature. An approaching glucose molecule does too. When patterns match, the glucose aligns and bonds. Parts of this pattern create dark matter fluid streams received inside the cell. The cell can recognize different flavors of glucose. The cell can change the spin on its boundary layer by projecting a stream of dark matter fluid. So each cell is a rich computing system with memory, pattern recognition, and control. So there's some evidence. I mean, platinum, palladium, rhodium, they catalyze reactions because they have unique dark orbital resonance frequencies that create perfect figure-8 vortex chambers for bond arrangement. Ultramagnetism, crystals that hold specific patterns of dark orbital energy, those are easily explained by the existence of dark orbital systems in these crystals. And superconductors, this is laminar fluid flow inside of this dark matter fluid. It also supports the big bounce theory with black holes as trash cans that can spring back for the next generation of the universe. This math is the same, so most things work the way you'd expect with this model. But one prediction I made is that the universe has faster flowing dark fluid streams inside the canyon walls of the cosmic web. These streams will be traveling faster than the speed of light, laminar fluid streams flowing from the center of the universe. And recently, the James Webb Telescope discovered young galaxies like Mazies that appear to be much older with a higher redshift than you'd expect from their composition. And Mazies is on the edge of the Boeta's void, a region with far fewer galaxies than expected, likely a region that to us shows a visual crossing of one of these cosmic web canyons. So I believe we are seeing Mazies behind a headwind of faster moving dark fluid, increasing its redshift as this theory would predict. With space as a vacuum, there is no explanation. So this has led to lots more discoveries. The biggest one maybe is protein folding, pattern to shape to form, but there's also a lot more. So dark material fluid is not dark at all. It is lightweight and it is enlightening. So find more enlightenment at lightfluid.org.